Hey YouTube. Well, today we've got a chainsaw with a bit of an incontinence problem. So my Husqvarna 455 Rancher here, anytime I leave it anywhere, seems to leave a puddle wherever it was left last. So I think this is a fairly common problem with these. Hopefully I know what the issue is. We've got some parts ordered, but we're going to see if we can get the oil leak taken care of. It's been a little while. I've not had to do much maintenance to this thing. It is a 2014 model, or at least that's when it was built. So I don't run it too hard, but I use it quite a bit every year. So I've got a couple other things, maintenance type stuff we want to do. I think I've got some fuel lines leaking that we're going to get in there and take care of, but the main thing, we'll see if we can get that oil leak taken care of. So operation number one will be to get the bar and chain off of here and this cover off the side. Apologize for the lighting. I'm going to work on that, see if I can get something a little bit better. I know here in the shop the lights aren't the greatest, but we're definitely going to do a cleanup as part of this also. Okay, next thing is this clutch has got to come off, and I did not think about getting a tool ordered, so we'll see what we can come up with. Alright, a few minutes with a angle grinder in our once 1/2 inch by 3/4 inch socket is now a clutch tool for my chainsaw. You know, my wife asked me a few times now why I need all these old sockets and why I need all these duplicates and stuff. I just got a new socket set, and well, exhibit A. Okay, so this is apparently left-handed thread. So I'll get the tool in here. A lot of people have been, I've seen on YouTube, taking the spark plug socket out and stuffing some rope down there to stop the piston from moving. I'm going to try this with the impact and see if I can get it to go without it. There it went. Sweet. Alright, maybe I got you where you can see a little bit better. So the clutch was threaded on here. We got that off with our tool. Now this drum just comes off. Got a little bit of wear there on that sprocket, but I think we'll be okay for now. And there's a needle bearing that comes off of there. And then I believe the rain's not going to cooperate with us either. It's going to be a little loud. So then we got a drive gear here. And a screw. Oh, I guess that was grease all in there. I'm gonna thread this screw back in before I lose it. So this is a point where some people have trouble with leaks, and this one could very well be leaking here, but I don't think that's really where it's coming from. Mine feels like it's coming out the bottom usually, so we'll put this off to the side and then take our oil pump off. I think the saw overall will do well with just a good cleaning. And then this tube, I believe, will be the one that's doing the leaking. But we've got to get it out of the tank. So to get at that other tube where it comes through the tank, now you've got to take the handle assembly off. And from what I can tell, it's held on by 3 bolts. So one up here up front where the chain catcher is. So we'll take that off. There's one right here. Oh. And these have a kind of a washer head on them. I assume that's specific to the ones that hold the handle on. And then I think the other one is this one right here above the gas cap. And then something else I thought of while I was taking that screw out is I believe the top cover's got to come off so you can unhook the throttle linkage. All right, everything's loose. So I don't know how well you can see it, but the throttle linkage there, right here, so that's got to come off. Looks like if you just pop this up without breaking it. I'm gonna have to get that at a different angle. Goodness. So the trick to that is not to just pry on it. I don't know if you can see, there we go. Don't just pry it this way. You can grab it with something and lift up. It's got a little notch or knob that goes down in that hole there. So there we go. And then from what I can tell, just kind of work it off of here. Okay. Oh crap. So as it turns out, that's a lot easier without the spark plug in. All right, I believe, so right here on the bottom, you can see where that hose goes in. I believe that is our culprit right there. I'm not gonna take that out just yet. I'm gonna get this saw cleaned up some. All this greasy, oily sawdust actually comes off pretty easy with an air compressor. So I'm gonna get the blowgun, clean all this off to make sure we try and keep from getting any more dirt in that oil tank than we absolutely have to, and we'll be back to pull that out. All right, we got it all cleaned up here. That way we won't knock too much down in the tank. You can probably hear that the rain has picked up now, but see if we can get this out of here. It's gotten a little stiff. I don't know if the new one's gonna be that way or what. It's kind of hard to get a hold of. There, the screen's out. And then I never did quite pull that out. I think if I just shove that through, maybe. No, it doesn't act like it wants to shove through. Huh. See if I can pry this up. Alright, simple as that. So this has gotten pretty hard. Take a look at the new one. Let's see. So the hose is much more flexible. This area here where it's thick, it's a little softer, but it's still pretty hard. It's not real soft. So we'll see if we can get this filter swapped out and see about getting this new one poked in. Alright, so to put the new one in, I'm going to fish this up, and I think this side needs to be put in first. Maybe. Alright, so that appears to be seated down in its little home. And on the bottom side, I'm actually going to put just a little bit of gasket maker on there. I know this theoretically shouldn't need it, but be careful not to get it on the oil tube screen. There. And I'm just putting it around the tube right here where it engages with the tank. Okay. Just a little bit, hopefully it'll help. And then pin this down. These little forceps have proven to be pretty handy for this project. Okay. And then see if we can pop that in there. There we go. Now it went. Okay. Alright. That's seated down in there nice. Clean up a little bit of the extra. Our tube placement here seems to be pretty good. So, now it looks like we're pretty much ready to start going back together. Alright, so to go back together, we're going to start with our oil pump, and I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on the gear here. And we'll drop that in, kind of rotate it in, make sure we're down on our tube there, and then the bolt goes in for that. Okay. Good and snug. Now our output tube from the output side of the pump up to the bar. Goes in here, and so that starts right there. Looks like that's seated as well as it ever could be. That hose snapped down. Okay. And then next goes our cover. So the tricky thing about this cover is the inside of this, next to this one bolt, is the only thing that puts pressure on this hose, this outlet hose. So that's why some people have issues leaking. And so you want to look for damage on this plate right in this area. And I happen to have some. So you can kind of see just a little bit there. I don't think that's where it was leaking from. So I'm gonna roll with it the way it is. You can kind of see the circle there maybe from that hose right there. So I'm thinking maybe I contact more here than right on that edge, but that's something I'll have to keep an eye on. If I start leaking again, that might be something to keep an eye on. So that goes on there. And I tried to get all these parts nice and clean. Nothing was ever designed to work with dirt in it, really. So and that's in plastic, so it needs to be tight, but you don't want to strip anything out. So, okay, the next thing will be our pump worm drive gear, and I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this also, just to make sure everything's okay. I'm amazed at how, so this is a plastic gear, I'm amazed at how good a shape this gear is in. Just spin it on there. There we go. Alright, next we've got our bearing to go on, I believe. Yeah. Our bearing will go on, and we do the same thing with grease on this. I'm going to put some on the shaft first, probably. Hopefully that'll get the inside, and then a little bit on the outside. I was surprised how thick the stuff that I cleaned off of here was, so I'm not worried about this grease being too thick. Alright, now I've got the clutch drum all cleaned up. We'll slide that on, and it's got two little places for the drive dogs on this gear. So make sure we're down in there good. And then our clutch goes in. Left-handed threads, remember. And I'll give it just a little bump with our impact here to make sure it's on tight. If I can get my custom-made socket on here, there we go. Okay, that ought to do it. As this thing runs, this will tighten itself, so that should be good to go. Okay, that's got it all back together. I'm gonna hold off on the bar and chain for now. I'm gonna sharpen up that chain a little bit, get ready for tomorrow, but let's get some gas and oil in this thing and see if she'll fire up and maybe not leak. I know I won't be able to tell exactly if I got all the leaks fixed until I use it for a while, but let's fire it up and see how it does. Yes, this is steel oil in my Husqvarna, but it's either this or the real cheap stuff. There are no Husky dealers very close to me, so yeah, it looks like I'm about out. That'll get me started for tomorrow though. Now, before the fuel line fix, when I had it laying on its side like this, a lot of times I'd pick it up and there'd be a little puddle under it. So let's see what we've got. No puddle there. Okay, let's give the new primer bulb a little test. Sounds like it might be getting something through there. Oh yeah. There we go. All right. Let's see if she'll start up. Oh, that's good. All right, looks like we're going pretty good. Oiler's working. The saw fired up a lot easier than it had been, so we'll be ready to go. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, be that how to do it or maybe even how not to. But I'm gonna get to work on some sharpening some chains here. We're gonna put this thing to work tomorrow and see how it does. If you like what you saw, remember to like and subscribe.